As we head into mid-April, we have something that's just totally extraordinary. We spoke about this a little bit last night, the podcast last night, but it really becomes much more apparent as we travel through time right now. We have National Weather Services as far north as Boston at least, which is saying summer weather. Summer weather will take over for the rest of the week. This is not just for Boston. This is here in the Midwest as well. I wouldn't call it actually summer for places in the Midwest, but when you head over to the Boston area, temperatures are forecasted to go into the 80s on Friday. That breaks the previous record where temperatures were in the low 80s, forecast highs low to mid 80s. Parts of the New York area, upper 80s, mid and upper 80s for Friday. And Baltimore, we also have similar things. Temperatures actually headed to 90 degrees in North Dakota, and that's for tomorrow already, less than 24 hours away, and places around there have a snowpack. The snowpacked areas probably will not hit 90 degrees, but there is a town where there's a high likelihood of hitting 90 degrees, and you're going to hear about that town later on in this podcast. This is totally remarkable. This is a holiday week for many of us. It's the holiday of Pesach, Passover. There could be other holidays as well. This is a diverse audience over here, and just think about it, because the past many weeks, mid-January, we've been seeing mid-January onward, not just one major winter storm which affected the mid part of the country, but many of these weeks we've even seen two major winter storms that have crossed the country. In the past couple of weeks, we've been seeing significant severe weather outbreaks on a weekly basis, and almost a weekly basis, even going past those 2 weeks. And all of that returns right after this week of the holiday for next week. Already by this weekend, we're talking about rain changing over to snow for Duluth, Minnesota, Sunday and Monday. A severe weather outbreak is already in the forecast in Norman, Oklahoma area forecast discussion, as we're going to hear about it Friday night and Saturday. So perhaps actually over there even Thursday night already. So we have this 1 week of just a true present from Shemayim, from heaven. A true present corresponds to the Eis Ratzon. We won't get too much into that, but it's just absolutely beautiful weather. It's something that it's just a total inspiration. It's not that we don't see highs here in Chicago, let's say in the 70s. It's just the consistency of it and how this has not happened before. This entire year, it's been up and down, and then next week we go back to up and down, and there's just like this week that is taken from Olam Haba almost. It's just placed right here for us to enjoy as temperatures get warmer and warmer. In the snowpack, we're going to hear, melts 1 to 5 inches within 72 hours, parts in the Dakotas or by Duluth, Minnesota. We will be playing parts of yesterday's podcast as well, but there's plenty to talk about here. I hope everybody enjoys, but if you were going to say the forecast in just 10 seconds, it's just sunny and warm the rest of the week.
You are listening to Weather with Enthusiasm.
The following is from the New York National Weather Service, recorded Monday night, April 10th. New York National Weather Service for the period Wednesday through Monday. This was issued 9:33 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Monday, April 10th, 2023. A weak frontal boundary moves east of the region early Wednesday morning. Wednesday will remain dry with temperatures rising around 15 degrees above normal, with highs in the lower to mid-70s for much of the region, with a downslope west-southwest flow, keeping sea breeze development limited to the immediate south shore, deep mixing to at least 850 HPA, about 5,000 feet above the surface, with temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees Celsius, and much of the region still in pre-early green, stuck fairly close to the NBM temperatures. However, it did lower the dew points a bit. Winds and low relative humidity conditions on Wednesday signal elevated fire weather conditions. The warming trend continues Thursday and Friday. Sunny and dry conditions. Temperatures will likely be 20 to 25 degrees above normal for mid-April across New York City, New Jersey, Metro, and Interior. Amazing stuff. Friday will be the warmest day of the year so far for most, with record or near record temperatures. This is for the New York area. Much of the area will see highs in the mid to upper 80s. Afternoon sea breezes will keep eastern Long Island and the southeast Connecticut coast significantly cooler each afternoon. Stuck close to the NBM for temperatures. The next chance of rain comes over the weekend as a frontal system slowly approaches. With some timing differences capped, precipitation chances are just a chance. Temperatures will still be well above normal on Saturday, but a slight downward trend will begin. This is totally amazing stuff over here. Totally amazing stuff. Milwaukee, Wisconsin National Weather Service fire weather discussion issued 3:27 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Monday, April 10, 2023. There will be elevated fire weather concerns for the next few days, with the peak of the fire weather concerns expected to be Wednesday. Dry conditions, warming temperatures, and breezy winds have been persistent through the previous few days, and these conditions look to continue through the rest of the week. The current blocking pattern set up across the U.S. is what is giving Wisconsin this long-duration warm air advection. This large-scale pattern has also been driving out breezy winds. Minimum relative humidity values are expected to fall into the 20s both Tuesday and Wednesday. Moisture will be gradually starting to increase from day to day as we head into the weekend, but this will be a slow process, and it is possible that if temperatures start to overperform under the clear skies, that it will not make much of a difference on relative humidity value. This is from the National Weather Service of New Orleans, Louisiana, issued 9:32 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Monday, April 10, 2023. We have a coastal flood warning. This remains in effect until 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time Thursday. Coastal flooding of between 1 and 3 feet above ground level is possible. It's the area forecast discussion for Boston. 9:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Monday, April 10th, 2023. Here's the weather synopsis. Warm and dry weather with gusty winds will lead to elevated fire weather concerns Tuesday. A backdoor front will bring slightly cooler conditions Wednesday, especially in eastern New England. Then a significant warm-up Thursday and Friday with summer-like record-breaking temperatures on Friday. Elevated fire weather concerns will continue for the rest of the week. Still unseasonably warm this weekend, especially in the interior, then turning unsettled with a chance of showers sometime Sunday into Monday as a cold front moves across the region. Much cooler weather early next week. The long-term Wednesday through Monday. Highlights are continued warming trends and fire weather concerns through Friday. There's a low probability of rain next weekend. A large omega blocking ridge over the central U.S. will leave us with dry, sunny, and summer-like weather through the rest of the week. High temperatures this week will be well above average to near record high by Friday. Temperatures, 850 MB temperatures, will rise into the 10 to 12 degrees Celsius zone, which is 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit, 5,000 feet above the surface, which combined with full sunshine can bring highs well into the 80s. So we're talking about 30-degree temperature rise from 5,000 feet to the surface. The GEFS and the European Computer Model ensembles give 40 to 60% chance at 80s on Thursday and a 70 to 90% chance for 80s on Friday. High temperatures closer to the coastline, however, will stay cooler due to onshore flow and cold ocean water still in the 40s. Elevated fire weather concerns on Wednesday with a backdoor front, advecting and drier dew points from the north in the low to mid-20s, and gusty west to northwest winds. A bit of moisture return begins Thursday and Friday as surface winds become more west-southwest and dew points rise into the upper 40s to low 50s. Winds Thursday and Friday calm down as the pressure gradient becomes very relaxed. The upper level pattern begins to change Saturday as a cut-off low over the southeast U.S. gets absorbed into the flow. A warm front associated with the system could bring low chances for an isolated shower, but dry air will cause issues for rain trying to reach the ground. A more impressive long-wave trough and associated low-pressure system ejects out of the Great Lakes Sunday, which would bring better forcing and moisture to the region, but ensembles have less than a 50% chance for 1/10 of an inch of rain for Sunday into Monday. Highs over the weekend will remain above average, with ensembles probabilities for greater than 70 degrees around 50 to 80%. Record high temperatures for Thursday, April 13th. Let's go ahead for Friday, April 14th. Boston, 81 degrees, 1945. Hartford, 82 degrees, 1941. In Providence, 83 degrees, 1945. Worcester, 79 degrees in 1938. All of these records are in jeopardy on Friday, April 14th. The records are much higher for Thursday. Hazardous weather outlook for Duluth, Minnesota. Warming temperatures will lead to a melting snowpack. Possible flooding by mid to late week. This was issued 1:25 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Monday, April 10th, 2023. Seasonably very warm temperatures continue through midweek and will lead to melting of the deep and primed snowpack over the borderlands of Minnesota Arrowhead. Enhanced runoff from the melting snowpack is expected to start by the middle of the week. Flooding of rivers, creeks, streams, and in low-lying and flood-prone locations is possible, especially if culverts become blocked. If you live in an area that has previously experienced spring flooding impacts, expect to experience those problems again this year. A few thunderstorms are possible Wednesday night into Thursday. A late week storm system is expected to bring widespread rain Friday and into the weekend. Some snow may mix in by Sunday. Some runoff will be near record snowpack, which will continue to be on the increase across northwest Wisconsin and northeast Minnesota over the next 48 to 72 hours. The process will be accelerated by overnight temperatures remaining above freezing with very warm daytime temperatures. Anywhere from 1 to 5 inches of snow water equivalent will melt within the next 72 hours. As runoff migrates towards rivers and streams, the threat for overland flooding will increase. This is especially a threat where culverts are plugged or frozen and in locations of poor drainage in low-lying areas. The meltwater makes its way to the river channels. Expect strong rises on area creeks, rivers, and streams. This will be the first realized across basins in northwest Wisconsin and into the St. Louis and Mississippi headwater basins in Minnesota. Flood advisories have been issued for those areas, and additional flood warnings are likely to be needed within the next 24 to 36 hours based on forecast river levels. The late week system discussed above will be monitored for its potential to aggravate ongoing hydraulic concerns. The following is from the Los Angeles National Weather Service, issued 5:18 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, Monday, April 10th, 2023. Low clouds and fog linger at the coasts today into tonight. Otherwise, skies will be sunny. High temperatures will continue to be warmer than normal away from the beaches. It will be cooler Tuesday and especially Wednesday as lower pressure moves in. Thursday will be cloudy and cool with a slight chance of showers across Los Angeles County. A warming trend starts Friday as high pressure moves in. Final paragraph of the long-term forecast discussion. Both the GFS and the European computer deterministic models, as well as their ensemble, means agree that weak ridging will move over the southern half of the state on Friday and persist through the weekend. The European computer model is a little warmer than the GFS due to having weaker onshore flow to the east. Most of the ensemble members favor a warmer solution, and the forecast is tilted in the European computer direction. April 9th, Sunday night.
You are listening to Weather with Enthusiasm.
the rest of the Pesach, it's just remarkable. I think it's been many, many years since we've seen weather like this. Just a week straight of just continuous sunshine and just warmer each and every day. Although we did have to get through the first day of the holiday, which was cold. The second day actually was colder, but the sun was strong and temperatures are going up from then on. For the rest of the week, they just get warmer and warmer. Wednesday for the upper Midwest is when things reach its peak. For areas a little bit further to the south, it just stays in the 70s. We have places in South Dakota. Now, this is really unbelievable. We have cities in South Dakota right now that are forecasted to go into the 80s on Tuesday. Lots of rain has fallen over the past several days in the Louisiana area. Some locations, I saw some spot, they got 9 inches of rain. Unbelievable. But we have other areas that didn't get much rain at all. But then we have a flood watch in effect, 1 to 3 inches of rain expected between tomorrow and Thursday, or between Tuesday and Thursday. Whenever things are just strange, there's a certain inspiration to it. It's like anything could happen. There's just that potential. That's what it's anything could happen, whether there's a scientific explanation for everything, which of course there is, but it just shows you that anything could happen. You could have temperatures warmer up north. That, in the summertime, the days are so warm, days are so long that, up north. So yeah, you could have warmer temperatures up north. April already, days are a little bit longer up north, but we're going to be seeing much warmer temperatures up north than down south. Down south, you have all that rain. We're going to see well below normal temperatures. Not only below normal, temperatures will actually be 10 or 20 degrees cooler down south than up north. A very backwards weather pattern, very backwards weather setup, and things should go relatively more back to normal next week, except we go back to the below normal temperatures. But the rest of the Pesach, it's just remarkable. I think it's been many, many years since we've seen weather like this. Off the top of my head, I would think 2012 perhaps, but I don't even know if 2012 we saw weather like this. Just that was a really warm March. It was not as warm of an April. We have a remarkable weather map, especially for April, and lots of potential things and lots of things which are expected to develop for this week. Totally remarkable. Now, snow usually reduces the temperatures, but if you look at the ICON computer model, a German computer model, which for some reason forecasters seem to be, their forecasts match up very much to what the ICON model is showing on windy.com. Temperatures are forecasted to go into the low 90s, cities in the low 90s, even in North Dakota. So you have low 90s air going over snow ground, so ground that has snow on it. So you have temperatures rising into the low 80s. This is for portions of North Dakota, South Dakota. This is very impressive stuff. These 80s then move on into Minnesota. The hot day this week is Tuesday. For portions, it's hot in the upper Midwest, in the Dakotas, for areas that don't have snow, and it's very warm for places that do have snow. We might even see some record warmth in a couple of cities, especially in Dickinson on Tuesday. As temperatures go into the low 80s, the record's 81 degrees. That really warm air then moves into Minnesota. It confines itself even on Wednesday to the upper Midwest. Temperatures go down a little bit, probably due to added humidity. And on Thursday, that really warm air, even Wednesday actually, it also moves into Wisconsin. Temperatures Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, we have forecasting temperatures in the low 80s. You go further up into Wisconsin, temperatures even warmer than that. European model as advertised on windy.com doesn't show temperatures this warm, about 10 degrees cooler than this, but the National Weather Service forecast discussion clearly says this, especially when you get into the Dakotas. One thing you have to realize is that for places which are receiving this heat on Tuesday, you already have higher resolution models which are covering it. So for the Dakotas, there's a higher chance for accuracy, in theory, The issue is the snow ground, those snow-covered grounds are going to create a complication in that forecast for some locations. Temperatures going into the low 90s for Kansas. There's higher confidence in that for Tuesday. Portions of Kansas, low 90s, widespread 80s expected. And then as you go down south, temperatures become cooler. And now we have something really interesting, totally phenomenal. If this should happen, a low pressure system, it's exciting just to talk about. Just a low pressure system which has come from a regular low coming out of the United States has made its way to the Gulf of Mexico. This low pressure system is becoming stationary. There's a few things that are needed to come together. If these things come together, three things need to happen for this storm to become a named tropical storm. It has to become, number one, a subtropical storm. It's not in the tropics, so it would be a subtropical storm. But number one, it has to be completely enclosed. It can't be getting any of its energy from the United States. It has to be getting all of its energy from the ocean. So then we have a system which is having the traits of a tropical storm. There also has to be thunderstorms within the system. And in addition, we need sustained winds to be at least 39 miles per hour or higher. So this system is not expected to develop into some type of a tropical storm or subtropical storm, but it almost will. We just have a little bit too much wind shear, says forecasters. The water is warm enough for this to happen. We have different storm tracks that this low pressure system could take, but the forecasters are not really expecting this to develop into some type of subtropical low or to get a name, but it has been brought up as a possibility, which is really phenomenal just to think about that we could have something like this form in April. We have that really warm conveyor belt over in the southwestern portions of the Gulf of Mexico with temperatures in the mid and even upper 80s. In the northern parts of the Gulf of Mexico, water temperatures are in the upper 70s. Generally here in the United States, we say the water temperature has to be 80 degrees or higher, but when you get into the metric system, they like to say 25 degrees Celsius or higher, 77 degrees or higher, and we have that even by New Orleans, where the beach water temperatures are 77 degrees. Lots of rain has fallen over the past several days in the Louisiana area. Some locations, I saw some spot, they got 9 inches of rain. Unbelievable. But we have other areas that didn't get much rain at all. But then we have a flood watch in effect, 1 to 3 inches of rain expected between tomorrow and Thursday, or between Tuesday and Thursday, as this potential, it's the low pressure system, which may take a southern track or a northern track, but it will be going in the Gulf of Mexico. It's a stationary system, and it's, which one's responsible for what? Is the high pressure to the north responsible for the stationary system in the south, or is, we do have eventually a storm system from the west coast, a storm system that will be developing actually just east of the Rocky Mountains by the weekend, will push this low pressure system in the Gulf of Mexico to the northeast and clear the place out. In fact, even without that system, the high pressure system over the Midwest moves to the mid-Atlantic area this weekend. We have some phenomenal temperatures forecasted for the East Coast. I know for Baltimore, mid-80s. And by the way, there's a freeze warning in effect for places over there right now. Pikesville, Maryland, a freeze warning for tonight. We have other areas, Amberley Village, Ohio. We have a frost advisory, something like that for tonight. But temperatures are going to shoot up into the 80s for these locations, especially in the mid-Atlantic area. And for some reason, not only is Chicago not forecasted to get into the 80s, not even St. Louis is forecasted to get into the 80s this week. This is really an upper Midwest and the mid-Atlantic area going into the 80s, and we have that area down, further to the south, even southern portions of Ohio, we have temperatures going into the 80s. So it's a very interesting weather. It really is. It's an interesting weather map. It's only April, and we have this area, again, of really warm temperatures in the upper Midwest. You have to just think about this. We have areas with snow-covered grounds forecasting temperatures in the 80s on Tuesday, but then much of the Midwest doesn't have any snow on the ground. They'll be under the exact same air mass Wednesday, and yet forecasts call for highs in the 70s. So it's an upper Midwest heat where temperatures in the 80s, some 90s are expected as well. They're saying regardless of whether it becomes an official subtropical named storm or not, the effects it's expected to have on the Gulf Coast are expected to be similar. So we have some flooding that could take place, coastal flooding. That's something which is probably it's going to be similar in regards to coastal flooding. There is snow forecasted to happen for portions of the upper Midwest for the beginning parts of next week. It's in the same locations which will be having temperatures in the 80s this week. This is serious up and down stuff, but it's possible. If there was a year where we had just a week straight of just continuous sunshine and just warmer each and every day, although we did have to get through the first day of the holiday, which was cold. The second day actually was colder, but the sun was strong and temperatures are going up from then on. For the rest of the week, they just get warmer and warmer. Wednesday for the upper Midwest is when things reach its peak. For areas a little bit further to the south, it just stays in the 70s. If there is to be a severe weather outbreak, it would be happening with the storm system approaching the area over the weekend, which will be producing a winter storm. If there is to be a winter storm, it would be with that system on the backside for the beginning part of next week. I wish everyone a Chag Kosher v'Sameach and enjoy the remainder of the Yom Tov. Following is a winter storm watch in effect from the Omaha, Nebraska National Weather Service. Several additional feet of snow is expected by Monday morning. People were reporting frost quakes. These are earthquake-like tremors.
We have a powerhouse typhoon which has developed off in the Pacific Ocean.
A big shockaroo to many of you. We have parts of the world that are so hot right now. Temperatures are expected to go into the low 130s. Recorded temperatures during heat bursts have reached well above 104 degrees. It's a rare atmospheric phenomenon. We're going from one extreme to the next extreme. Feet of snow are falling in Japan.
Oh my gosh.
Just Google weather with enthusiasm and they're all gonna come up.
For thunder and for lightning and the rainbow in the sky, for mountains and for oceans or a river running by.